Tim Estiloz is here with the big story of the day.
Barry, you might say the shoot-'em-up cowboy genre is #1 with a bullet these days in Hollywood. Next month, Brad Pitt hits the big screen playing the legendary outlaw Jesse James. But right now, it's Russell Crowe and Christian Bale sharing the Old West spotlight in the new hit movie 3:10 to Yuma. And Crowe says it feels oh so good to play someone oh so bad. Congratulations on the success of 3:10 to Yuma. I loved the movie. Rather than ask you, if you were surprised by the success of the movie, why do you think it was so successful? Because not many Westerns do well at the box office.
Yeah, well, to answer the question that you didn't answer, I'm just thoroughly surprised, and I think everybody involved in it is, because we kind of just set out to make an old-fashioned film for our own reasons, and I think people are responding to it simply because James Mangold knows how to push an audience's button. He did it with Walk the Line, and he's done it with this. It's a very simple story, in its own way, but it also has some psychological complexities. But basically, it's just a fun ride. You get into the cinema, and off she goes, and there's action things happening. I mean, any movie that starts with a horse being blown up by dynamite, I mean, there's going to be some fun things to see.
Well, I'm glad I was able to ask you a question that you weren't expecting, but let me tell you what, first of all, for the people in our audience that haven't seen the movie, what's the quick storyline on this?
So, you got this bad guy called Ben Wade. He's been robbing trains for the last few months, and he's destroying the life of the railroad company. So he gets arrested. The railroad company want to ship him by train to the federal prison at Yuma, where he'll be hanged as an example to other people who might think that they can rob money from the railroad. In steps Dan Evans, who is a down-on-his-heels rancher who has lost the respect of his eldest son, and he feels that maybe by becoming part of the posse that brings Ben Wade to justice, maybe he can regain some of that lost respect in his son's eyes.
Now, the last time you played in a Western was in The Quick and the Dead. Now, that time you were a preacher. This time you get to play the bad guy, the villain, and that's got to be an actor's dream. I mean, how much fun was that for you?
Good, but the funny thing is, I think I quote more from the Bible as the bad guy than I did when I was playing the preacher. Because there's a certain thing in the background of this character of Ben Wade, which you'll see if you see the film, which explains why he's so knowledgeable about the Bible. Look, playing bad guys, man, that's just fun. I mean, pretty much every time you're in a movie, the bad guy gets to do all the fun stuff. So it was just enjoyable from that point of view.
You look kind of skinny.
I feel skinny.
That's all right. I don't mind skinny girls. As long as they got green eyes to make up for it.
Now, a few weeks ago, I had the pleasure of talking with Peter Fonda, your co-star, and also Ben Foster. And
yeah, cool.
they were both telling me about how much fun you guys had, and also some of the bad things that went on the set in terms of, Peter was complaining about how cold it was, and Ben was saying that you taught him how to ride a horse, because you're a pretty good horseman yourself.
Peter was definitely complaining about the cold. In fact, Peter started something that Christian and I just thought was a very, very funny thing. He said one day, he said, look, I just cannot act on location in period clothes below 13 degrees. And so for the rest of the movie, Christian and I tried to work out the scale, like maybe you shouldn't have to do Shakespeare in tights in a drafty hall below 8 degrees. Maybe there should be a SAG scale for all of this. Anyway, but I understand Peter's point of view, because it was a heck of a cold, man. I mean, we had a lot of days there it was -15, and like I said, you're in period clothes and you're on horseback and you're trying to do dialogue. So it was freezing. It was absolutely freezing. So he definitely had something to complain about. Ben Foster is a magician. He's got some magic in him. Ben Foster is a cool cat who's going to do some great work as an actor in the next little while, probably for the rest of his life. Some people have certain abilities with the job, and some people where it's just their calling and they have a certain self-possession and magic inside them. And Ben Foster's definitely one of those guys. I love working with Ben, and I hope to do it again in the future.
Now, when you're working on a movie like this, you obviously are out there in the field for quite a long time. You have 2 young sons that I know that you love very much. You know, how tough is it being away from them, and also how enjoyable is fatherhood for you these days?
Fatherhood is the most magnificent thing that I've ever experienced in my life. I have 2 beautiful boys. Charlie's 3.5 and Tennyson's 1, and they are going to be one heck of a dynamic duo as they get older and older. They're already showing signs of it. The thing is, they were with me on that set, so I'd have Charlie on the set most days of the week, and he'd get up on the horse with me and just be with me. I think, you know, sometimes it's impossible for them to be in the place that I'm at, but you know, I spend as much energy as I can making sure that they can be with me wherever I go. So.
Well, it sounds like a great time there. You know, you're a great father. And hey, we're hoping that maybe Gladiator 2 might come out at some point.
Well, I think they're going to release this Western in Japan, and they're going to call it Maximus v. Batman. So.
Sounds like a plan. I'll be right at the front of the line with a ticket.
Cool.
Russell, just thank you for being on Backstage with us. It has been a pleasure.
Cheers, mate. I'll see you soon, eh?
One of Russell's next film roles may take him from the Old West to the space-age future. Crowe says he's currently in talks with producer-director J.J. Abrams to possibly take on another villainous role in the next Star Trek film. Barry?